Welcome to the Empowerment Show with Melissa Heisler. Every week, discover new personal choices with practical, inspiring guides. And now, here's Melissa.
Welcome to the Empowerment Show. I'm Melissa Heisler from It's My Life, and it is your life. Live it. Today, I will be talking to Robin Westen about the value of treating our bodies right. Welcome to the show, Robin.
Hi, Melissa. Great to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you on today because I think taking care of our bodies, I know, is near and dear to my heart, and I don't always make the best choices. And I think that was a little bit of your early history as well. You weren't always the model of good health. Can you kind of tell us how you used to live and what the turning point was for you to take better care of your body?
Oh, sure. So I'm 64 now, and I am a child of the 60s. So like most people of my generation, I really indulged in drugs and a whole gamut. I'm shocked I'm still alive. And I didn't care what I ate, and I never exercised. And I really ran my body down to a frazzle. I would stay up all night. And I carried on with this kind of attitude towards my body well into my 20s. I had a lot of stressful jobs, and I would use drugs to kind of get through it, and lack of sleep. I mean, the whole thing. That was my life.
And so what was it how did you realize that, I think a lot of people get stuck in, I have a stressful job, so I'll have a drink or I'll have some chocolate or make some other choices. How do you go from experiencing that stress to saying, you know what, this cycle isn't working for me. I need to do something different?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I love chocolate and coffee. So I'm not going to demonize them, although I do use them in absolute consciousness and moderation. But what happened was really, it wasn't, I know a lot of people come around to changing the way they take care of their bodies because they're hit with an illness. But that wasn't my route. What happened to me was really a kind of soul evolution. So I had a spontaneous experience without drugs where I was really aware of the importance of life, my life and other people's lives, and the lives on every life on this planet, whether it be animal or vegetable or, human, of course. And from that point, I gained a respect for my body and really understood that the body truly is a temple that houses the soul. And that's how I developed a consciousness about how I care for my body.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. There's going to be some people who are listening to this that don't understand what a spontaneous experience is. Is there a little bit more information you can give us about how this happened, or was it just like a feeling and a thought that popped into you?
I will say this. It's very difficult usually to be able to express these things in words.
Yeah.
So I will say this, is that I was had been, going about my really stressful and empty life, and I was traveling and jet-setting around, and I went away with a friend for a weekend to Cape Cod on the ocean, and I was just sitting for the first time in a very long time, all by myself, on the beach at dusk. And I asked for the first time in my 28 years, I asked from a place really deep inside of me, is this it? Really, is this all there is? Is this it? And I will say that in that very moment, I was given the answer that, in fact, yes, this is all there is, and no, there's so much more.
And that's so profound as well. I think a lot of times we're so searching for that next big thing, and a lot of times it's if I understand you correctly, because I I believe that I come from the same point of view. Life is so simple, and the truth of it, and this is all there is of this experience. And yet, unless we really get into the experience, we don't realize how large it is. So it's simple and large at the same time if we can get deep into the moment and deep into truly experiencing everything that is happening.
Yes, I think that's key is being in the here and now and being in the moment. And that might have been the first time in my life that I was in the moment. I wasn't thinking about what I had to get done. I wasn't thinking about my past. I wasn't worrying about some guy. I wasn't worrying about anything. I was just right there, right in the moment. And I think when one is right in the moment, there's the possibility that all is revealed. I hope I'm not being too esoteric.
No, I didn't expect this session to go this way, but I understand completely what you're saying, and I think that's also a good basis to move into the other things that we want to talk about today, because until you can really be in that moment and be with yourself, at least that's what I've experienced, that I can't know what my body needs, I can't know what my emotions need unless I'm truly there with it. Right. And I think that's what happens a lot when we have our stressful jobs or our to-do list, that we're focused so much on the doing, and it's stressful and it's unhappy, and so then we reach to whatever our drug of choice is to try to mask the pain, which if we can actually simplify and get back to ourselves, we can start understanding what we need in that very moment and stop looking for that quick fix.
I totally agree with you, Melissa, and I also think it's a matter of tuning in and accepting. So, for example, if we're feeling sad, that's okay. You know, you have to sort of move through things rather than deny that they're existing. And that even involves things such as anger, which I think for most of us, especially for women, I think we spend a lot of time denying that we feel anger, but it's okay to look at it. I'm not saying one should react to what they're feeling, but to look at what they're feeling. And so if you feel anger and experience it, it will dissolve.
Yes, we so often try to ignore our emotions,
or cover them up, really cover them up, as you said, with, our drug of choice, whether our drug of choice is shopping or, accumulating material objects. That's a big one, especially in our culture. Also, sometimes, excessive physical activity is another way to cover things up. I mean, everything is about being conscious. And that's what my books are all about, really, ultimately, is about being conscious, trying to be conscious.
Exactly, and I like the word trying because maybe it's the Yoda, there's only do or not do, there's no try. But I do know that being able to be conscious in each and every moment takes a lot of effort, and we're still human. And I think it's still a challenge that there's going to be times where we're just not able to, no matter how much effort we can do.
I mean, of course. I mean, a big part of my life is meditation. So every morning, this much I do. Every morning I wake up and I sit for half an hour. I meditate for half an hour. I burn incense. I light a candle. I say, whatever mantra I use to quiet my mind down. And if after 30 minutes I maybe had 30 seconds of no thought, it would have been a good sit. I mean, I just think, but at least while I'm sitting, I'm watching my thoughts. I'm not, getting hooked into them. That's one thing that I can say honestly.
Right, and it kind of goes back to you talking about healing our emotions.
Yes.
And not labeling them and not trying to run away from them, but just being with them.
Yes, yes, label them, yes. I'm feeling jealous. But don't judge it. Yes, I'm feeling jealous, and then just, all right, it's just an emotion.
Absolutely. By labeling, I did mean judging. Labeling is good or bad.
Yeah.
And right, it's important to acknowledge it, that this is what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling, but not to tie any value to it.
Right. Because I think, the person we judge, and I mean, all this can sound like cliche unless you actually try it, and I really suggest your listeners do. And believe me, let me just say, I go about my day. Most of the time I'm not conscious, but I do catch myself more and more as I get older and hopefully wiser. I will try to bring myself back to the moment. So I think I was going to say that I think the biggest issue for most of us, and perhaps especially for women, is that we judge ourselves so harshly, and that leads to the judgment of everything else. And that's something I'm actually working on now, is releasing judgment. It's very difficult.
It is, because I think our society is also based on judging, on finding differences as labeling good or bad or ideal or not ideal.
I think that's the work of our mind, right? That's our mind's work.
Yes. And so I agree with you, meditation, taking that downtime throughout the day if you can, at least having a foundation, that can help us get out of our minds. It can our minds often work automatically, and we don't even know what they're doing, and sometimes we'll make judgments and make label things negatively without even knowing it. So
I think, we have the monkey mind, so it's always blah, 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 blah. And so I agree with you that there are things anyone can do, even if they're working in a busy office. Of course, you can stop and breathe. Deep breathing is a wonderful thing to do. To keep a picture by your desk of a peaceful scene. They really have done studies to show that the heart rate is slowed, blood pressure is lowered just by looking at a calm scene. It's always great if you can get out of your office environment and just go for even a short walk out in nature, or even just on the street to change your environment. You don't have to sit in your, and meditate while you're at work. Of course, that's very difficult to do. Certain stretches or acupressure points can help relieve stress.
And so that's all wonderful things to clean and cleanse our minds. There's a lot of different tactics to be able to do that, either if it's one time a day or throughout the day where we can get those touch points. And I tend to focus a lot on my mind, but I tend to neglect my body. And you talk a lot about the importance of also cleansing our bodies. Yes, I do that fairly regularly. I am a devoted yoga student. I've been doing yoga, but not strenuous yoga, for 15 years. And I found along with the yoga came a natural desire to clean out my body, not too vigorously and not too frequently, but twice a year. I go on a 7-day Ayurvedic Detox Cleanse that I wrote about in my book, The Yoga Body Cleanse. And it's not a fast, it's a cleanse. So one would try to eliminate from your diet foods that are processed, alcohol, caffeine, while you're on the cleanse. I really like coffee in the morning, I have to say. And there are all these studies done, I divert, on the benefits of caffeine. So I would like to put in a plug for coffee. But during the detox, I give up coffee. And along with that, I take, during this 7-day detox, I also make sure to treat myself really well with other things like bathing, warm baths, turning my bathroom into a spa, and taking more time for myself.
I think. I don't know how many of your listeners are, working, family people, and we have a lot of responsibilities. So if you could take 7 days to detox your life, it will serve you well, I hope, as it has me.
And so in your book, The Yoga Body Cleanse, it's cleansing the body. We're talking about taking out alcohol, caffeine, processed foods.
Sugar.
And then sugar. And it's just a side note on that, and we kind of danced around this as we've been talking. I think it's important not to attack any certain food, but to know what your body wants and needs. And so, and I always get, for me, my body is very sensitive. There's foods that I know if I have it, my body will react to it. And my husband's the human garbage can. I don't think there's anything that he eats that affects him negatively. So it's really important to know the foods that work with your specific body.
I agree with you, Melissa. And actually, I try not to demonize. While I'm on the cleanse, I specifically eliminate foods from my diet. But as a general rule, when I'm not on a detox cleanse, I'm one of the fortunate people who really does not react to any food particularly. And I therefore, on a personal level, don't demonize any particular food. I respect people who have sensitivities. But I think the real key is to be conscious of whatever we put in our mouths. So I could tell you exactly what I've had to eat so far today. And I think if people are just conscious of what they're putting in their mouths, then naturally they will make healthier choices. I don't think anyone's going to say, I'm going to sit down and eat a whole pizza. Nobody likes to reflect on that. But maybe
I don't know.
Your husband does.
Maybe my husband does, yeah. He could probably go through a whole pizza on his own.
Right.
But I think the important point there is being conscious about it. That's where food becomes the drug of choice. We're often doing it unconsciously.
Exactly.
We're stressed out and we're grabbing, even if we have, 20 pounds of apples, probably not a good thing in one sitting.
No, not a good thing. Though I must confess to eating like a whole pint of berries, because I'm in Vermont now, and when it's raspberry season, forget it. So of course, you're absolutely right, Melissa, not to overdo any particular food and to be conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, and I find that with myself and my clients when we're working on food issues, the more we can be conscious of what we're eating, the better choices we can make, and we don't have the tendency of overdoing. Or if we love the berries in the fall, then it's wonderful to sit and enjoy each and every berry we have, versus going through a pint in 5 minutes and not realizing it.
Right. That's it. Take it slow. Enjoy what you're eating. And there are exercises I include in my book to help with the pleasure of eating in terms of being conscious of the texture of the food, the smell of the food, contemplating how this food was made, how this food grew, and eating very slowly, chewing well. I suggest people close their eyes when they eat. And also to be conscious of portions as well, because to really appreciate what you're taking into your body. I often think about people who are less fortunate than I am, and so when I'm eating, I can feel, and I don't do this all the time, but there are many, many more times now when I can feel gratitude for the food that is in front of me.
And I think that's so important. And it's amazing as I talk to people who are new to the United States. And there was one woman who didn't understand Thanksgiving because you know how the U.S. Thanksgivings are. We have
just how much you can stuff.
Food.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can go into the grocery store in the United States at any time, and there's that much food. I mean, in her home country, that would be a one time of year fast because that was the only time they could afford to have that much food. And yet she'd look around at, what we Americans have available to us, and we could eat like that every day. And I think we often lose our gratitude for that availability.
I think that's true. And also to remember not all Americans, that there's a lot of hunger now in this country. And so we can all even feel for our fellow countrymen and women, and specifically children, those who are perhaps neighbors who are hungry. I mean, I just think there's a lot of hunger in the world, and that will increase. But let's not go down that road.
Let's not go down that road, but I'm glad you brought it up because, unfortunately, I think that childhood hunger in the United States is growing. So it's something good to be aware of.
Right. So I feel, and I think anyone who picks up my book, The Yoga Body Cleanse, or any of my other books, are folks who have been honored in this life to have the ability to be able to follow something like this, because let's face it, you have to be living in abundance if you can say, okay, I'm going to detox. And so even from the very get-go of beginning a detox, it can begin with gratitude to be in the place where it's even a possibility.
Absolutely. So we're very blessed to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking specifically about the detox, I know the Yoga Body Cleanse, your latest book, talks about a 7-day detox, which you said to do twice a year. And then you also had a book out, the 2-day Superfood Cleanse, which was a weekly program. Can you talk about the differences between the two programs and what might be right for one person or another?
Right. Well, the 7-day Ayurvedic cleanse is a much more serious cleanse. I have to set aside a week to do it, and usually I do it in the spring and in the fall. Those are the best times to be involved in a detox cleanse. And the Yoga Body Cleanse is also based on ancient medical practice of Ayurvedics, and so it also has a lot to do with the different body types or the doshas. And so I give people a quiz in the book to figure out whether the Pitta, Vata, and this 2-day. On the other hand, the 2-day Superfood Cleanse is really just a quick charge. You can do it over the weekend, and you use really foods that have been proven to be excellent for our health, antioxidants specifically. There's a lot of fruit in it, like goji berries, black currants, grapes, of course, coconut. Everyone's on the coconut trail. I talk about chocolate. Dark chocolate's really good for you. Buckwheat groats, chia seeds, lots of nuts. And so on the 2-day Superfood Cleanse, you concentrate on a diet that's rich in these foods and really eliminate other foods. Does that help?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I was just thinking about the first time that I did a cleanse. It was actually a month long, and I don't know if it was a cleanse. Well, it was a cleanse. It was really getting away from red meat, the sugar, the processed foods, the spicy foods.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to me after that month how when I started to reintroduce other foods back into my diet, I think the first time I had a potato chip, it felt like eating a salt shaker. And
yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, you really can see, you can really taste again the food, and you can see what your body is doing with the food, if it's adding to you or if it's subtracting from your specific body. And I think after that point, I started to do, I'm not regimented, but I have done other cleanses. I know sometimes for me personally, they can be, it almost feels like you can get sick during a cleanse because it's releasing some of the toxins. Is that something?
Yes, I was going to say that's very, very common to have reaction while you're on a detox. And the more strict the detox is, the more likely you will to have reaction. For example, if you're on the Master Cleanse, which is the lemonade, very well-known and probably the oldest cleanse, which was lemonade, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper, then this you have side effects that come up from it, and the most common ones would be skin rashes. You might break out. You can get nauseous, headaches, especially if you're giving up caffeine. Some people get very extraordinarily tired, or other people get angry and edgy. I think that when one goes on, and I think that's a great point, Melissa, that you brought up, that when you go on a cleanse, you should actually expect to have some kind of side effects that usually subside by the third day.
And I guess with that point, too, we should tell people that it's worth it.
I'm sorry?
That it's worth it.
It's worth it, yes. But I would also it's totally worth it, but I would also like to say that if somebody has health problems or if they're pregnant, they should not go on a detox. And if they have health problems such as high blood pressure or diabetes, or they're extremely overweight, before going on any kind of detox or cleanse or fast, they should run it by their doctor.
That's a wonderful point, because it's really important to respect your body and know what it needs, and to get that professional input as well. I would also like to put in a plug now for the sauna. If you can get yourself to a sauna sometime while you're detoxing or the week before, it will really help pump up the effects of the detox, because our body has natural detoxing organs. Our liver is one, our kidneys are another, and our skin. And our skin, of course, is the largest detoxing organ. So if you can take a sauna, not a steam bath, but a sauna, you will detox so beautifully from your skin, and you can get rid of a lot of stuff just like that, a lot of icky stuff. Absolutely, and I think a sauna, for me, is a much better experience than spending half the day in the restroom sometimes. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. I think a sauna is great. And also I think it shouldn't, and of course one of the benefits, as you were saying, and it's so worth it, and not that people should be detoxing or going on cleanses to lose weight. That's not the way to go. But I will say it's very true, as you probably experienced, Melissa, that when you go on a cleanse or a detox, you will lose weight. Absolutely, and sometimes it's just inflammation versus the number of pounds, because it's your body's no longer fighting some of the toxins that are in you. At least that's been my experience. Is that I will see my body shape change even if it's doesn't, because I'm losing the inflammation from what my body is trying to fight. Well, it definitely does help reduce inflammation, which they've linked to a lot of serious illnesses. So I think that's an excellent point, inflammation. And it also helps to, depending upon the cleanse or on the 2-day Superfood Cleanse, you can exercise. But I really don't recommend people do any kind of too active exercise while they're on a cleanse or a fast. Not good. Well, if our listeners want to learn more about cleanses, specifically the Yoga Body Cleanse and the 2-day Superfood Cleanse books that you have out, where can they get that information? You can go to Amazon. You can go to your local bookstore. Then those are the best ways to get it. Your bookstore or Amazon. And you can get any of my other books. Yes, and I wish we had more time today because we could jump into those, but I encourage our listeners to check out Robin Westen's book, The Yoga Body Cleanse and the 2-day Superfood Cleanse, as well as other books that she has available. Thank you so much for being on the show, Robin. This is a wealth of information. And thank you, Melissa. So great speaking with you.
Join Melissa Heisler next week right here at The Empowerment Show. Join the conversation at facebook.com/The Empowerment Show or twitter.com/Empowerment Show.